Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Justin the Food Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Justin Bizzarro. I'm your host. That's BIZZARRO. And today we have back with us MustKetch Todd Summers from Chicago, Illinois. How are you doing today, Todd?
Doing great, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And Todd, I know this is a part two, and I encourage everyone to go back and listen to part one of the podcast where we talk about. Since then, I've had your products delivered to the house. I ordered off on Amazon, which was actually a great experience. But before we dive into it, I just want you to sort of touch upon, your experience and why you started MustKetch again, and exactly what is MustKetch.
Yes. Well, I tell you, it's a combination of a career, sort of a second career in a way that we got into this. I have another business which is involved in some electronic components, but I have always been a person who has enjoyed mustard and ketchup. It's just one of those things, and along the way, I've also been involved with sports and a lot of sporting events over the years. And I seriously stood in line one too many times with a hamburger or a hot dog or something, and looking to get some mustard and ketchup on it. And it struck me at one point that why hadn't somebody combined the flavors of these two wonderful condiments called ketchup and mustard. And I started experimenting a little bit with it, literally in my kitchen. And my wife, Ann, my wife of 40 years, and we experimented with it and came up with some taste profiles that we really enjoyed. And I did a lot of research, and I couldn't find anybody who had done it. And I got together with a master chef in Chicago named Charlie Baggs. And Charlie Baggs has a company, Charlie Baggs Culinary Innovations. And we talked about it, and I told him the concept that we had. And he thought it was something that he readily understood, but had not seen himself in all his years. And he helped develop the three products which we have, which we call the Original, Zesty, and Smoke. And those three separate products, condiments, have the ingredients of mustard and ketchup as a base, but then each of them have a separate taste profile. And Charlie was wonderful with my brother Scott, who's also involved with the company. And Charlie liked it so much that we invited him to join us in this business. And my wife and I have 6 children. Not so much children anymore. They're all young adults, and they each contributed in their own way to what we call Summers Family MustKetch, in that they were some original taste testers on the product, and so that's basically how it began. And that was about 6 years ago that we kind of took it from a concept to a development stage. And we actually introduced it into the market last year through Amazon, and then have been concentrating on the Chicago area market for the last 6 months.
And I mean, I guess I've got to ask, because
Sure.
I have so many things going on in my head right now. It's one of the things that I've received the product now, as I mentioned earlier, but one of the things I really love is the way you came up with the packaging on the bottle itself. I want to get into the shipping packaging as a separate topic, But
Hmm.
I like the color coding, and I don't think a lot of people realize how important color differentiation is on the product if it's going on a shelf, or even if someone's searching on the internet, or even the importance of when I go to our pantry in our house, the color means to me. Like, I know that purple and is the zesty, and I know that the red is the smoked and the green is the original, and obviously I pick mine accordingly off of that. But I think just when the design of it was done, color coding it and not just sticking a different name on it was so important. I've seen a lot of food products and companies or entrepreneurs just change the name and not take the time to change the color. And the color is the thing we actually identify with first, and not the words, not the letters. We tend to read, not last. I mean, I got to tell you, it's why red lights are red and yellow lights are yellow and green lights are green. They don't have any words on them because we react to the color originally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I
Yeah.
just think it's so well done, and I want to give compliments to that because I like the bottle. I like the way it's packaged. I like the labels on it. I like even the lettering. If it's smoke, it's in red, the word that says smoke. If it's original, it's in green, it says it. And if it's zesty, it's purple, and it says it zesty and purple. And so, I mean, did you guys, I have to assume it was intentional when you did it that way.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for those compliments, because indeed there was a lot of time and effort and thought that went into that. And to hear you sort of go through the litany of attributes that we hoped would be important, you're kind of helping to verify that they are important. And thank you for that. The label was a combination of my brother Scott, and also we have another key member of the team, Ron Farnham, who has a company, Damon Jackson, in Chicago, which is a branding company. And so we had the benefit of his background and expertise to help us kind of run through the do's and don'ts of branding. But the color coding was a real specific thought that we had to do just what we hoped you had mentioned. And that is that, from a distance, you don't have to read the label to know which product it is, which condiment it is, and that definitely was done by design.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
And so, I mean, I want to get back to, the flavors. I mean, for me, I like the smoke the most, but zesty was a close second, and then the original. And I've said it to you before. I'm not a ketchup person. I don't ever eat ketchup. It's something I don't like, actually, if I were to be honest. But I really like this. And the times I do eat ketchup, they're usually mixed on a hamburger with mustard. And that's just the way it comes, and that's okay with me. But this, what you've done is you've created something, I feel like, where, it's a person, like, maybe there's a person that doesn't like mustard or a person that doesn't like ketchup, and they go one way or the other, but the flavor profile of this is so different. And I mean, you taste it when you have a burger, but you're not quite sure what it is. It's almost like a savory, sweet taste in all the flavors, and with their own distinction. Like the smoke, I like the smokiness. That's my favorite for me. It almost feels like I'm at a barbecue when I'm eating it. And the zesty just has this zing that's just unusual if you mix ketchup and mustard. And I really like what it's doing. And even the original, it's such a different flavor profile, and it's unique in a way that I think people will enjoy it if they just try it. And I encourage people to order the 3-pack off of Amazon. And I'm not pitching it just because you're on the show. I'm literally pitching it because I think that it changes the way things are done, and it changes the way we see condiments. And it's a solution. You created a solution to a common problem, which is, what if I want both? Then I got to go try to squeeze both out, and are they proportioned properly and all that? And you think it's a little thing, but being in the food business, as long as I have, portioning things like equally or getting that same bite out of every flavor. If I wanted both ketchup and mustard, you can't ever get them the same way twice if you're putting them on there. But this way you can.
Sure.
And it's just pretty cool how it provides a solution. And I think that's where successful entrepreneurs really focus on, is it's not that you just created a food, because it was your mom's recipe or whatever. I think and while those entrepreneurs are successful in a lot of ways, this one actually provides a solution, which I think is really cool. So
thank you very much. And I tell you, Justin, interestingly enough, we've heard many times that people who enjoy ketchup and mustard together are likely to find these products to be very interesting and very tasty, and will meet their palate. But also, people who I've talked to people now who don't, like you, particularly care for ketchup, but they enjoy mustard, and they taste the mustard ingredient, and so they get part of that, but then they get something else, and they don't recoil from the other flavor that they don't care for as much. And the same thing applies to some people who like ketchup and don't like mustard, and they like this product a lot. So it's been fascinating to see how people are once they taste it. It's a special type of sauce that people generally find very, very palatable, very interesting.
I think it's pretty cool, and what you got is, I'm actually interested. This is something I'm going to watch closely, because I think there's huge potential for it, and I think that it's just incredible the way you guys have done it.
Well, thank you. We are at this point very, very pleased with the reception to the taste. And more than anything, that's where we felt from the beginning that it had to be something that people walked away and said, we like this taste, and we would like to try it again, and try it on many different kinds of food creations. And it does have a little bit of it's a popular word, but it's something called craveable, and this it fits. So we're pleased.
So I love this too, and I really want to get into the whole Amazon thing, and we touched upon it a little bit at the last episode. But before we get into that, I want to talk about, I really like the experience of the way you guys ship the products. And for anyone in the audience, I encourage people to sort of take a look at this, because there were 3 bottles in there. There was basically they're little inserts that were cut out of cardboard, and they're put in there perfectly so they don't break against each other. And then it's a fold over box. So you sort of fold open the box, and these 3 mustard ketchups were, displayed so well. And the 3 bottles were just in every bottle, the label was facing you. It was just so intentional. It wasn't like they were just stuck into the box. It was intentional. I could read each one as I opened the box. The presentation was there. The way it opened the box and seeing all 3, they didn't bang up against each other. You can see that the care and the time was taken to develop the packaging. So, I want to know more about it, because obviously it's an intentional thing, but the whole following the customer service and customer experience all the way from the beginning to the end, I think is important.
Well, the word you just used was experience. And this, while I emphasize the fact that the product was developed for its taste, and it clearly is the important element. We also wanted this to be a fun product that would be just a fun experience, and that goes from having it one bottle at a time on the table to ordering it and having the packaging represent hopefully the care that's gone into the total development of the condiment itself. So thank you for noticing that too, because that was something we've spent a lot of time on.
I mean, I assume, for all the other entrepreneurs out there, I assume you had to find someone to customize that offering to you. You had to go to a cardboard company or person and a designer and have them specifically design it for you guys?
Absolutely. We work with a company called American Eagle Packaging in Elgin, Illinois, and their folks are just terrific, and they have worked with us very, very closely and listened to what we wanted, and more, as much as anything, not only listen to what we wanted, but help to craft this thing with their expertise. And we're very grateful for the packaging that they came up with.
And so let's go into the next part. Because I go onto your website, but you guys have decided to push everything through Amazon. Like, that's your hub. That's where you put it on. You don't mess with direct shipping yourself or anything like that. And so how did you come to that decision?
Okay, that's a good question. We felt that the initial thrust of making the product available, this thing called Amazon, the good, the bad, and the indifferent about it, it is a spectacular capability to provide product nationally or beyond. And so when you're a small startup like we were and are to some degree, we felt that it would be to utilize their vast capability. And I think there are something like 100 million Amazon Prime members in the United States, and so anywhere in the U.S. you can order our product or anybody's product if you're Amazon Prime, and you'll get it within 2 days, and sometimes you'll get it the same day. So it's a spectacular distribution capability, and so we started off with that because we wanted the availability to be there anywhere in the country, as any one of folks that were buying the product, and we couldn't be in every grocery store in every geography to start, but with Amazon you have that capability to be available anywhere in the U.S. So we've sold the product into 35 or 36 states at this point, and doing that without that kind of a capability would be awfully difficult to do.
Yeah, and getting it out there or even finding it, it's an incredible story. Really, because you were at a time where you could decide, and some people argue whether or not you own your customers or not, but if Amazon has 100 million customers, that's more than any single grocery store or grocery store chain for that matter.
Sure.
Because of the ability, and by owning it, I mean that 100 million is that it may be that Kroger or King Soopers has over 100 million people shop there. I doubt it, but it's possible. But the thing about the Prime thing is the access to them. Like, if I go into a grocery store chain, I don't have access to 100 million people. I don't. I have to go one by one. I have to buy shelf space. I have to, pay a slotting fee, so on and so forth, before I even get my product on the shelf. And even after that, how many eyes does my product see? only the ones in that grocery store. Where with Amazon, your eyes get to see that amount of people. And I got to tell you, the fee Amazon charges is a hell of a lot more efficient and worth the money than paying a sliding fee at a grocery store. And I'm probably going to get some grocery store chain coming after me, or one of my customers upset that I work with. But the truth is that's why. I mean, that's why the whole Foods thing with Amazon works, is because the brick and mortar way, you can't get your products out there and seen in as many people. You don't get the varieties you can off the internet. And certainly, trying to launch a product like yours would take so much more time, and you'd have to fight against Heinz and Hunt's and all those people. And we're not in that world anymore. And that's one of the things I really love about your product and what you guys are doing is we're getting back to the basics, really, of being consumers in buying products. Mind you, we're not in our little ghost towns or villages and we only buy locally. But it does give us the ability to buy artisan products from wherever we are at that type of level where your product can succeed from an Amazon because people can access it from anywhere. Where before that wasn't possible. You had to be in the grocery stores.
Right. No, I totally agree with everything you've just said. And to add on to that a little bit, we do also recognize that we want to be in traditional supply chain activity. And when I say that, I'm talking about we of course, the product is produced, manufactured, and we are located in the Chicago area, Chicago, Illinois. So on that basis, we have been pushing our emphasis on the Chicago market to begin with, and we're currently in 25 grocery store, mainly independent grocery stores in the Chicago area, and so we're increasing that and intend to expand from there. But that's the way we're starting the traditional on the shelf product availability as well.
Well, and I think you're getting the product out there so people are recognizing it on Amazon. And by all means, I don't have any problem with brick and mortar. It's a lot of our business in my side. And I truly believe that brick and mortar still exists. But I think in building a brand, I mean, I think you said 35 states. Yes. I mean, in order to do that, you would have been on the road. Gosh, I can't even imagine. I mean, I know what it's like on our end and before the internet and traditional sales, and how much time, that used to take for people to be on the road to build product lines and capital investment. So getting people to recognize your product before it goes into the grocery stores, I think, is huge. And I think we've talked about it quite a bit on the last episode, but I believe all your products are all natural. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
go
ahead.
They're what would be called clean label, which is to suggest, no preservatives, no high fructose corn syrup, gluten-free, no GMOs, cholesterol-free. So it is a clean label product, which is important to us as well.
And I think the whole connection there with Amazon and Whole Foods may pay off in the long run on that avenue. But I think there's people out there that are really starting to take a look at that type of lifestyle. I'll call it a lifestyle because it's not a diet. It's actually a lifestyle. It's the way we need to live and try to live as human beings, I believe, and try to have our products be more natural and fresh and, less preservatives and things like that go in there. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some necessities to food being healthy and safe for us, but it does mean that a product like yours, I think, has that whole side of it as well, which is that it's gluten-free, which is great. As a person that has allergies to gluten, I love that. It has no preservatives. It has no high fructose corn syrup. It has no genetically modified ingredients. And it has no artificial flavors or colors. So, I mean, what you're tasting is basically what it is. It's natural products, clean products, taken and mixed together in a bottle, and it's delicious. And I think it's just, I love the whole thing, and I love that you guys have really thought about the whole process. And I think if there's any grocery stores out there, this product is a hit. I think people will enjoy it. It's different enough. It's not, and I don't think it's replicable. That's the other part is I've thought about like, okay, I was like, well, maybe Heinz would get into it, or Hunt's, and is that going to be a competitor to yours? But the reality is you guys have found your niche, and I think that within that, even if someone tried to imitate what you guys are doing, it's not going to get the same flavor profiles that you guys get. Because I can mix ketchup and mustard all day long, and I'm not getting the flavors that you guys are getting.
No, that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. It is much more. It's much more than just ketchup and mustard, but it has that base, those underlying ingredients that make it a real interesting combination of mustard and ketchup ingredient. But it has other ingredients that form these three special flavor profiles.
Yeah, I love it. So, I mean, Todd, tell us about sort of, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit before, but I mean, what is your real, I mean, we've talked about going into grocery stores, but I mean, what are your real goals as a company to grow this, you and your partners, obviously, on where you guys want to be in the future?
Well, it's fascinating because there are logical steps which we're hopefully taking, but we're a little bit of a disruptor as well. So we're finding, when I say that, it's almost a new category of condiment, and so it takes a little bit of education on our end to explain it appropriately and properly to the different levels of grocery chains, etc. But where we really want to ensure that we're doing it right, and so we have been taking it not slowly, but we've been taking it methodically to build up the reputation that we want with the product in the Chicago area first. And so once we achieve that, we will look to replicate in other areas of the country, and that's how we're going to move it along. So it to some degree we're doing a kind of a bootstrap approach with this. So it will grow at its own pace, but that's the way we're approaching it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool idea, and I know that there's an industry forming in it. The other day we were in Georgia for work, and we went into a Kroger's there, and we saw on the shelf a mayo mustard mix, a ranch ketchup mix, a mayo ketchup mix, and a mayo barbecue sauce mix. So, I mean, other people are recognizing there's an industry out there, which is why I'm like, this has got legs, and people are wanting their things mixed. And we talked before about peanut butter and jelly being in the same jar. It's the same idea, and I think the difference is, and I did check this because I was wanting to do another podcast with you guys, is none of those products I saw were even close to clean label when they're mixing it. And I think that's the real differentiator, is they're not even close. And even if they're gluten-free or whatever, they're still not clean labeling it as you guys are in getting the shelf stability that you guys are getting, the flavor profile you guys are getting. And so I think that there is an industry there, and I think that what you guys are doing with keeping the labels clean are just so important.
Great. Well, it clearly it was one of our foundational goals was to do just that, to not only have something that tasted good, but also meeting the requirements of this clean label type product. And I have been very interested, Justin, to see how many people will take a look at the product, or take a look at the condiment, the bottle, and they instantly start looking at the ingredients and the label and what's in it, and running through that. And we're just so pleased that we have something that makes people smile when they're looking for something that's clean.
I love it. So, I mean, is there any desire to get into other condiment mixing, or you're sort of going to just see where the different flavors come from mustard ketchup? I know we talked about it before, and it's been almost a month since we last talked. Yeah. So I was wondering, I mean, is there mayo in the mix? Is there a barbecue sauce in the mix? I mean, in the mix, I mean literally in the mix.
We have a number of iterations, if you will, or extensions to what we have with these three. Our greatest interest at the moment is to not kind of get a little bit over our skis, so to speak, with introducing too many extensions too quickly. But we do have a number of them on the drawing board and in development right now to make available, at some point down the road. So mainly we are trying to focus and stay focused on the mustard ketchup combination as the basis, because it just feels to us like there are a number of taste profiles that are I mean, we've put some basically together and looked at it and tasted, and there are some logical extensions that we'd like to keep to what we're doing, as opposed to getting into some line of barbecue sauce or anything. And this isn't to denigrate or what have you. It's just there are a lot of good people in the barbecue sauce business. This is something different. This is something different, and we want to maintain that differentiator from what else is on the market today.
And I'm willing to bet, I mean, just because as my business goes forward, this crosses my mind, that there's probably a lot of ways that, I mean, there's pair-ups that I can think of, in bundling stuff. And I've got to imagine that as time gets out and the more this gets out there, that there's going to be people that represent, clean label bratwurst, for example, or burgers or meatballs and stuff that want to use your products with it, because I have tried it with all of those, just so the audience knows, with bratwurst, with hamburgers, with different items. I've even tried it on vegetables because I was curious. And it's obviously, it just has a dipping sauce like I would a ranch. Sure. And it's pretty incredible. And the side of it that I like is that there is the healthier side of it being clean label. So I'm just, we had a friend over the other day, and I don't eat much corn, but they were putting it right on their corn on the cob. They were mixing it with their butter and literally putting it right on their corn on the cob, which I thought was interesting. But I'm like, okay, well, that might make sense. And it didn't taste bad at all. And it actually tasted very good. And it's just, there's so many things that it can be paired with, and whether it's, down the road, you guys looking at commercial packaging for restaurants and food service and things like that, and the stadium to bring it all the way back, I think is such a great idea, because I think there's so many marriages there that we're seeing in the future where people are going to start worrying about, well, what kind of ketchup really is this? Why am I going to buy an all-natural clean label bratwurst if I can't put all-natural clean label condiments on it? And so that's sort of what we're seeing here, and I think you guys are perfectly teed up and at the right time of building your business to go there.
Great. Well, we're excited that we feel, the same way, Justin, that the timing looks good, and we just want to get it out there and make it available, and let people taste it and enjoy it. So that's what we want to do.
So, Todd, I'm going to give you the floor. I don't know if there's anything more you want to say, but I want to make sure that as we start to wrap things up, that you have the time to, you guys obviously want to come on the podcast. I really want to do another episode with you guys once you start to look at your variation on flavors and talk about how your business has grown. Sure. Definitely by the beginning of next year, because I think the holidays are going to be an outstanding time of year. And as you get into spring and people are back into barbecue, I'm really interested to see how all of this goes.
Sure.
But before we get off, I want to sort of just give you the floor and let you talk about anything that you want to talk about. We really dove in last time about your family and the family unit and family in the business and all of that. So, but I think there's probably a whole other spectrum of just things with you personally in the business that maybe you want to talk about.
Sure. Well, Justin, thank you so much. This is really wonderful to have an opportunity to do this follow-up with you. I would say, and I just a couple minutes ago we were talking about the usage for these condiment products and where you can use it. And I would recommend to your listeners, if they are so interested in MustKetch, that on our website we do have a specific button for on our homepage for recipes, and many different usages for our products, and they're all detailed and outlined in recipes on the website. So I think that would be something that would be worthwhile for some of your listeners if they find the product interesting. I do think too that overall we are concentrating on the Chicago area at the moment. As I said, one additional thing is that means we're putting more into public relations and advertising, which is something for a startup that at some point becomes required, and we're having fun with it. We just did a 30-second radio commercial, which is being aired in every Northwestern football game during the first half. So every game this season, we'll have a little 30-second blurb on MustKetch that was actually done by my wife Ann and me.
Oh, so that's incredible.
It's been really it's been run twice at this point for 2 of the games, and it will be on every game subsequent. And so we're pleased to have an arrangement with Northwestern, and of course Ann and I, having gone to Northwestern and met there, it has special meaning for us, as well as my brother Scott, who also graduated from the business school there. So anyway,
and now we just need to get them to serve it at all the sporting events there on campus.
That would be great. Boy, oh boy, if we could do that. That would be a fun thing to do, and hopefully something that we can work toward. But overall, and maybe just to finish out, I just think that this is a product that if people have the opportunity to taste it, that they're going to like it. It makes a wonderful gift. And when I say that, we've had a lot of people on Amazon that use that avenue to they taste it themselves, and we'll see a reorder that goes to another name in the family somewhere else, a brother or sister or parents or what have you. So we encourage, and hopefully that's a good sign for us as well, that people are willing to give it as a kind of a fun gift.
Well, and there's nothing like word of mouth marketing. I mean, no matter how much you pay or how much you promote or you use social media, at the end of the day, if people enjoy the product, they're going to tell their friends about it, and they're going to let people try it while they're there. And I think that's so important to anyone. And it's sort of hard in the world that we live in when we want to push everything digitally, but in food, you got to get people to taste it. Beverages, you got to get people to drink it to spread the word. Otherwise, it doesn't just happen.
Right.
It's not like clothes where I see it online. I'm like, ooh, that looks good. I'll buy that. You want to really try it, and you have to rely on people's opinions and trust their opinions. So hopefully people listening in trust my opinion at this point on products. I hope they do. And I do recommend really taking the time and buying a 3-pack. It's $27.98 online. And normally I don't promote actually buying it or trying it as much as I do. I do encourage people to try everyone's brand that's on here. People are taking their time. But this is something that I think is a game changer in the food world. And anyone out there who's like trying to be in the food business or wants to be a food entrepreneur, the real thing is providing solutions to people with a product, and that's exactly what you're doing. So I really enjoy that. And Todd, really thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast again.
Absolutely, Justin. We're grateful that you would have us. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this again on some next episodes, but you're the first episode on what we're calling Season 2. And Season 2 is we're basically, and so the audience knows, we're switching to a record-release format. We're not recording and waiting to release them to fill time slots. Everyone in the audience, we've heard you guys. We've heard your feedback over the last few months in particular, that you want us to record and release. So that's what we're going to do. So this episode will release literally 24 hours after it's recorded. Within that 24 hours, we're going to edit it minorly and leave it as natural as we can get it, tweak some background noises that end up happening, and then we're going to send it out for everyone to listen to. So Todd, congratulations. You're the first episode of the Season 2 format. And
Great.
So I think it's pretty cool, and so that's what we're doing. So thank you, everyone, for listening in. And anyone who's listening in, if you want to look up MustKetch, it's www.mustketch.com. That's MustKetch.com, and that's they're at MustKetch on Instagram and Facebook. You can find them. I encourage you guys to look at their pictures. And actually, I'm going to drag this on, and everyone thought I was just going to stop. Who does all of your Instagram photos, Todd? Because they're incredible.
Oh, great. Boy, am I glad to hear that. My son, our son Jack Summers out in San Diego, brought us a group, gal by the name of Shannon Fox, who heads up the digital marketing firm that does social media, and Jarnard Sutton is another gentleman who's involved with the photos specifically, and they put those things together and they do a great job.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible, and I like that. And I wanted to go in this, so I'm just going to go, and then the audience I'll let them go. But really, I like how there's some personal pictures intermixed with the professional or personal photos intermixed with the professional photos. And I can't speak today, apparently. And I just think that the whole story is so well done. Particularly the post with you and your wife that sort of it shows you guys where you came from. Obviously, it's your wedding photo, but it sort of gets us to know who's behind all the pictures and where the idea came from. And I love the personal touch. And like I said, the photos are just phenomenal. And again, I really encourage people to follow you guys on Instagram because you're doing social media and the photos in the way that I think it should be done, in the professional way with food. And if I can't taste it, it needs to be a pretty high quality photo. So
wonderful to hear, Justin, that you feel that way, and thank you so much.
Well, and thank you again. And Todd, I definitely look forward to having you guys back on again as we explore the future. Hopefully by then you're in Northwestern and in all the stadiums for the sporting events, but I'll keep working on that online by pushing it and letting people know that that's what we do. I guess you could probably sign a petition or something. Who knows? It all comes down to the buyers. That's the whole thing in food. It all comes down to the buyers.
Sure.
And but in the audience, thank you everyone for listening in. Again, check out MustKetch online and really look at their Instagram account. I'm Justin Bizzarro. If you want to reach out to me, it's justin@thefoodentrepreneurs.com if you're interested in being on the show or have any feedback. Again, thank you for everyone who's been emailing me and direct messaging me with comments and suggestions, and we are listening to them. I'm going to employ a lot of them in what we're calling season 2 as we move forward. So thank you, everyone, and have a great day.